Hello and welcome back to another episode of Reach Your Happy with Laura. If you are new here, I am Laura. I talk about everyday things and combine it with spiritual aspects of our existence. So today what I'm going to be talking about is pain and why I believe we feel pain and what to do about it. So I'll tell you a story to begin with. So the other day, me and my husband were in an argument. And it started off slow and then slowly started to build, and we were confronting things that both of us had been feeling separately and kind of combining the situation together and having the conversation about it. And as we were having the conversation, I could feel myself getting emotional. Even though it didn't really make sense to me, it didn't seem like the appropriate, air quoting, appropriate time to feel sadness, but it started to rise up. I started to feel, that maybe you get like a ball in your throat when you're sad. My eyes started to fill up with water. And I was telling myself in my head, I was like, this is not the time to cry right now. And so I was suppressing the tears and the sadness that I was feeling. And then as I did that, it was like the tears were starting to rise up. And as I pushed down the tears, I started to get a headache. And the headache started to grow and grow and grow. And I mean, this was like within seconds of me telling myself not to cry right now. The headache came on as strong as it does, like with equal amount of pressure that the tears were feeling like, but just in the form of pain. And I thought to myself, wow, I'm exchanging one pain for another pain. I'm exchanging the sadness that I feel for a headache. There's a trade-off here. My body is saying, I feel sad. I feel emotional right now, and this is how I want to express it. Then in my mind, I go, listen, 'tis not the time. Stop crying. Don't let that out. And so my body said, okay, if we're not going to let that out, I'm going to store it right here for now. And it's going to feel like this pain. Now for me, and maybe this is true of you too, when I get headaches, they often turn to migraines. And I have noticed that what the headache is trying to tell me is that I'm being too critical of myself. And in that moment, in real time, I was witnessing myself be very critical of how I was responding emotionally, and that turning into a headache. And so I kind of flipped through, and this was all within like a 10-second thing. I flipped through all the times that I had headaches and was wondering, was this emotion that I was trying to stuff down? I was being too critical of myself and what emotion was present and wanted to be expressed at that time. And in my mind, I felt like that wasn't appropriate for whatever reason, and I suppressed it, and it turned into a migraine. I'm like, wait a second. Is this all connected here? And I do believe that pain begins as an emotion. And if it's gone unaddressed, then it sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly turns into something that's inflamed and uncomfortable in the body. So with that realization, I decided in that moment that I didn't want to have a headache. I would rather let the tears out and be sad in this moment, even though it didn't seem like the appropriate time to do that. I would rather be sad than have a migraine any day. Because migraines, they're not just like that day. For me, I have a couple days recovery, and sometimes I even get sick from it because I get so nauseous from the pain. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm noticing this in this moment, and I think it's because I'm getting an opportunity to choose a different path. And I have this level of awareness right now with my mind and my body and what's going on with my emotions. I'm going to take a different route. I'm going to notice my headache is growing, and I'm going to make the choice to allow myself to cry instead of suppress the pain. And just making that shift, making that awareness very clear to myself I said, yeah, you know what? I feel sad right now, and it may not look appropriate, may not be the right time. We're in a disagreement, but I'm just going to cry. And I started to cry. It paused the conversation, and I just sat there and held my face and allowed myself to cry. And I did feel some shame about it. It just didn't feel like the right time. And I don't know if there was times in my life that I was told not to cry, or, to go hide, or that the emotion I was expressing wasn't appropriate, but something in me is programmed there. So I allowed myself to cry. Again, I felt some shame come up. I felt like, this is kind of stupid. What am I even crying about? So this judgment. And every time I would have those thoughts of judgment, the headache would start to rise up again. And I'd go, oh, it's okay. It's okay, I feel this way. It's okay, I feel this sad. And I cried and cried and cried for so long. I was like, Brad, I gotta take a pause in this. I went to the bathroom and I was crying. I washed my face and I kept crying. It was just like, these tears kept streaming, but I never got a headache. And we got to resolve our conflict in the way that we did. I can't even remember. It was just such a potent moment for me of like, oh my gosh. Pain is first an energy, an emotion we're experiencing. And when we suppress it, energy cannot be destroyed or created. It always is. So this sadness doesn't just dissolve if I suppress it. It gets turned into something else. And for me, that's a headache in my right temple. So that's one thing that gives me a headache. There's other things as well. So maybe you're experiencing pain and it's hard to backtrack where the heck this came from. So that's okay. I don't think we have to go back in time to address our pain, whether it's emotional or physical pain. I think we have an opportunity right now in any given moment to bring our full attention to that pain. I'm actually like pointing towards my right leg because I get IT band pain. And this practice is very simple, and you don't have to believe in anything. You don't have to know how to do Reiki. It's just bringing your attention to the pain. So if you have some spot in your body that is painful right now, let's just do this little practice. And this practice you can carry with you. You can teach others about it. It's incredible. So just take a moment, maybe a couple deep breaths. Centering yourself in this moment, giving yourself an opportunity to try this if you feel open to it. And now maybe scan your body. I like to scan my body by putting, like, if you're watching, I'm like placing my hand over my face, just hovering it, scanning my body from my head to my toes, and seeing if there's anywhere that I feel drawn to. So right now I'm feeling a draw to like under, like lower part of my rib cage. So I'm gonna put one hand there. So if you feel a place of pain or tension or discomfort, I'm gonna invite you to put your hand there for a moment. And breathe into that space, whatever that means to you. And if you could, if it's possible for you at this time, to notice, to acknowledge what feeling, what sensation are you having? So perhaps it's like a physical pain, like a pressure. But is there an emotional word that you can notice? Perhaps it's fear or sadness or discomfort, or anger, depression, frustration, maybe even joy. But notice what feeling comes up when you put your hand on that space that hurts. So what we're doing here is inviting the emotion to our current awareness. So it's like you're inviting in anxiety just for a moment to acknowledge, to witness, to make peace with in some way, because you're just saying, hello, I see you. And this is really the practice. Noting the pain, saying, hello, I see you, pain. Giving it your attention, your presence. Seeing what arises when you hold space for this pain. So whatever the word is, we just say, thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing me that. And then see what's underneath this layer. So what's underneath this fear, this anxiety, whatever the word is that came to mind. What's under this? So I'll tell you, my word that came to mind was discomfort. I'm like, okay. And then under discomfort for me is fear. But just sit with it. It doesn't have to happen quickly or at all. If the pain doesn't feel ready to be seen, if you don't feel in the space to be with this pain, that's okay. This is just a practice, like anything, like meditation, like yoga, like running, like anything. We're just practicing seeing what happens. And under fear for me is sadness. And again, just inviting sadness to the table or whatever emotion that's present. You just say hello. Oh, hi. What's up? Welcome. We've got anxiety, we've got fear, we've got guilt, we've got all these friends sitting at the table for tea right now. And see if there's anything else under there. And the next layer for me, I'm feeling some sense of hope and trust. And maybe there's another layer for you. If there is, take another moment, maybe pause the video, keep spending some time with it. And for me, the pain has shifted. It's not gone, but it's lightened a little bit. It's kind of migrated a tad bit towards the front, which when I check in with that spot, I feel despair, some confusion. So I am going to stop this practice now. So by stopping it, I just say, thank you, pain, for showing me this. Thank you. I have a deeper awareness of myself now. There's nothing I need to do, nothing I need to fix, just sending love to this place. I love you so much. All of these emotions, thank you for showing up for me today. And I will do my best to continue to check in when I feel sensations in my body. I will go through this practice, see what arises, hold space for it, acknowledge, just give my attention for a moment. And then when you feel complete there, you just lovingly let go. Open up your hands, relax again. So in this practice, we are building a different relationship to ourselves, to our pain. And when we shift one thing, all other things start to shift. Another beautiful thing about this practice is when you hold space for your own pain, instead of judging it, trying to, massage it away, stretch it away, force it away, and instead simply bring your attention to it, shine your light on it, which light I mean just your attention on it, and see what that pain has to tell you. It starts to transmute the energy. Again, because energy cannot be destroyed or created, it always is in some form. So by holding space for that pain, the layers start to peel back, and then you get to the root of something. Maybe not forever, but it's a starting place. And the layers keep going and going. So you may be invited back to a pain point again and again, and even notice if you're frustrated with that fact. And that's okay. I have had this sharp pain in my heart space since I was like 21 or so. Or rather, I got it acknowledged by a Reiki practitioner when I was 21. I had it right after my mom passed away. So I've had it for 15, 16, almost 19 years. So, or is it 19 years? I don't know, whatever. So anyways, my point is, it takes time for things to peel back, and know that you will receive what you need to receive, and nothing too much, nothing too strong. My point was that when we hold space for ourselves in that way, when we give our pain our attention instead of ignoring it, well, you create a different relationship to yourself and therefore to everybody else. When you see someone in pain, you're more likely to be compassionate because you understand this stuff is layered and it's complex and uncomfortable. And in so many ways, we are taught to be strong, to suck it up, to just keep going. And what a beautiful thing that is, that we are resilient beings. And I think Mother Nature almost demands that we keep going. The term stumble forward, like even if you're stumbling, just keep getting up and keep moving forward. But I think there is another way to do it where we're acknowledging the discomfort and the pain that we have. And I will say, when you continue to show up for your pain and acknowledge it, you may be inspired to different actions. Like I've had a calf pain before and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And I won't say I'm really good at this. I tend to ignore, and then I'm like, shoot, I forgot I can check in with this. But sometimes there's some resistance to it. Anyway, I've checked in with calf pain before and I'm like, okay, what's going on? I'm like, I'm not honoring myself. And I'm like, what? So sometimes it's not necessarily like a feeling, it's a phrase that may come to mind, just trust it. And I'm like, okay, how could I honor myself? Like, give this calf muscle some space. I'm like, space? What does that even mean? I'm like, well, stretching would feel good, foam rolling would feel good. And then I do that and it's like, we just tend to our body. We just tend to our pain because no one else can do it as well as we can do it. You know, in my work, I very much so can sense people's pain. I will feel it in my physical body. I'll feel a headache, a neck ache, shoulders. I'll feel whatever it is. And I can acknowledge it, but really, your pain wants to be acknowledged by you. That is the greatest gift you can give to yourself, is acknowledging how you feel, even if it doesn't make sense, or even if you think you're over dramatic, whatever judgment you have about it. By acknowledging it and holding space for it, the layers will start to peel back and you'll get to some really cool insights. For me, I'll share with the heart pain, the kind of lower rib cage pain I was feeling today. I was feeling like this discomfort and sadness and fear and all this stuff. And when I was like, in my head, I was asking, what is this even about? And it's like, that you don't have any makeup on and you're showing up. And I was like, what? That's what this pain is about? Seriously, right? You hear the judgment coming in. And I was like, well, why do you feel anxious about that? What's anxiety ridden about them? Like, that I don't feel good enough if I don't have makeup on. I don't feel like I should put a video out to the world, to the World Wide Web, if I don't have makeup on, if I don't have a nice shirt on. And then I'm like, well, you're doing it, so what's the problem? It's like, yeah, I may be doing it, but there's some fear of what, right? And that's something for me to chew on a little bit more and discuss further with myself. So it's very interesting what comes up. And this kind of curious mind, instead of thinking you know and having this open floor. It's like, whatever emotion wants to come through, come on, you're welcome at this point in time. I'm setting up in this moment to hold space for whatever wants to be seen. So I have so much more to say, but I'm going to make another video because this is already longer than I wanted it to be. Thank you so much for tuning in. The next video, I am going to be talking about when emotions arise, how they are the stepping stone to something really wonderful. In the meantime, pour love into that pain with your attention. And if it feels really tender and uncomfortable, do your best to love on that part of you, to just send love. Thank you for the message. Thank you for showing me there's something to tend to. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are a work in progress, a never-ending evolution of our soul. So don't rush it. Trust that what you need will come to you when you need it. I love you so much. Have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.